How are we brewing, people? Welcome to the stream. This is the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I'm your host Lefty. You're all very welcome here this evening. Coming to you live from Manchester in the UK, which stands for unmitigated catastrophe. Okay, people. Mobius was first in the chat. Great to see you. We've got Andy Carter as well. And thanks for a gifted membership as well, Andy. That's a great way to kick off the stream. And it's early doors, of course, but Mobius has got to the top of the community ranking thing that YouTube's abruptly thrown onto my live streams. And yeah, another great shot there, Andy, Lee Gallagher-Deville. Please do enjoy your perks. Let me know how you're brewing in the chat or in the comments if you're watching back later on. But in either case, please do make sure you've hit the thumbs up button as well. And please do feel free to share the stream around your social media. Say, hey, do you like tea? Do you hate Keir Starmer? Come and get on the stream, people. Let us unite. Perhaps in decades to come, some historian in a long-backed armchair will be reminiscing about the revolution, which is from it's in the future from our standpoint, but they'll say it all started with tea, you know, to the complete surprise of the interviewer. Yes, Andy, you're right there. This new feature does spice things up a bit. I have to make sure that I announce who ends up as number one at the end of the stream. Something else for me to remember to forget to do. Nina Sadie's also with us. How do you brew? Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Andy. I can't see what anybody else might need. You make a very fair point there. In fact, Starmer bashing will be the opening story this evening as we delve into articles and clips and whatnot. I also, people, must first issue you with a warning. As later in the stream, I'm afraid I will yet again have to subject you to a certain David Mensa, the Israeli spokesperson, and I use the term person in a very broad sense, perhaps a misnomer. I suspect only in the biological sense might we call him a person. Or a human being, certainly not in his actions or the actions he is trying to defend in the interview, which will be seen a little bit later. But I'm willing to suffer through that, knowing that Palestinians obviously have to suffer worse. I'm sure that they would happily trade places with me. But more on Gaza later. This is the first time I've been with you since the Sunday live stream, where I showed you a bit of the Palestine March footage and a few demonstrations with Youth Demand as well. So I'll put those in a separate video, which you can feel free to check out. Yeah, it's not grade A footage, you know, just bits in between when I was obviously doing other things, when I could find a few seconds or moments here and there, apart from the march. But it does just give you a sense of what a great day of support for Palestine it was. Clive, you're willing to risk all of your chat points for which Mensa clip I'll play. Does anyone else get a certain shudder, a run up the back, you know, just even when you hear his name? Or he might have not been popping his head above the parapet so much for a few weeks, and then he comes and you remember that he's a thing, he's a person, as abhorrent as he is, and then you just get this chill, this shudder. But yeah, he's been on a few mainstream media outlets today, so let's see how many points, Clive, you're actually willing to put on the line here. Let's these games within games. I'll assume you mean your points up to where I play the clip. At the moment you're on 75 in third place, so perhaps potentially giving up a podium finish. Interesting proposal. However, being the host, I have no chat points to equally gamble with, therefore it's not so much a win or lose. But I don't have any points to gamble with, I guess. I don't know. We'll think of something. Well, you've already made your bet, so I'll tell you that I have actually downloaded clips from both. However, there is only one that is currently in the broadcast software, because I was going to do a potential spoiler alert here. I was going to do a separate video about this, perhaps, later in the week. Won't be tomorrow, because I'll be doing PMQs. But all will be revealed. I shall, yeah, save my opinions on David Mensa for when the clip comes on. But I needed to get that early trigger warning in. Okay, people. Just remind you once again, kindly, please do hit the thumbs up button. Now, speaking Sorry. I'm laughing at the irony of the word I mispronounced there. Speaking of kindness, I want to say a big shout out to all the members on the channel. And for your generosity with gifted memberships recently. It's been fantastic. Solidari-Tea for that. We're still over the 100 mark. Excuse me. Yeah, there were a few people that didn't renew, but still over that milestone. Thank you very much, everybody, for your contributions. Great to see the community grow as well. That's what it's all about, people. And talking of people coming together, we saw a great example of people power from the demonstrations and protests on Sunday. That is on Sunday's stream. The protests and demonstrations were on Saturday. But I've got another fantastic example here from the United States and I.C.E. You know, Trump's stormtroopers, as it were, getting chased out the neighbourhood in a great coming together of solidarity and community spirit, as well as defiance and non-violent direct action. But we've got other things to get through before then. We're commencing with the Keith bashing in just a moment. Yes, Mo, the community growing stronger by the week, sometimes by the day, and soon by the hour. No, seriously though, it is great to have more members, more people watching the live streams as well recently. That's been fantastic. I need to give a shout out to Helena at No Justice and Kevin Logan as well recently, who've raided in to streams. But getting more opinions, getting more puns as well, and suggestions for songs and artists in the Brews at 10 the album. Speaking of which, the latest edition, Volume 9, will be debuting on this very stream, people. I mean, what more could you want? Yeah, so thanks a lot for your suggestions with those. I put in this week's selections. Volume 9. Can't believe this feature's been going for 9 weeks now. Incredible. Super Tiny got in the house as well. How do you brew? What's the 808 status? Huh? So I did a sort of Peter Griffin type. What did you think of that? Noise then. Huh? Huh? No, great to see you, Super. Oh no, Nina Sadie, there's fields of songs. You know, you probably picked up by now, there are some very commonly used words in songs that are easy to replace with T. You know, for example, you can become brew so very easily, and let's face it, there must be an almost uncountable amount of songs that have the word you in the title. Plus many more. And your contributions have been brilliant as well. I hope you don't mind as well. I've adapted one or two suggestions along the way. For example, a word in the title of the song might be changed to a different one that uses the pun that sort of fits better, for example. But anything though, and there's actually at least one example I can think of off the top of my head in this week's selection that has a new sort of a twist on which word you can use, so keep your eyes out for that while I keep my left eye on the world. Remixes. The Mobius, we've already had Teabaggy Trousers by Madness. Was that on the last volume or the one before? Very recently though. I think it might have been on the one before. One moment. I would say it was 2 volumes ago, going off my notes, which are roughly in chronological order. Yeah. So that would have been volume 7. Yeah. Oh, so many volumes. Take that, Encyclopedia Britannica, we're coming for your records. I don't think you plagiarised in Mobius. I think it might have stuck in your head. That's not one of mine. That was a suggestion. I unfortunately can't recall who made that suggestion, but it was another great one. Odin Allfather, thank you for joining us. How's the boys? How's Tor and Loki there? A couple of little rascals, aren't they? Love to the family, Odin. We've had a Tina Turner. I'm not sure if it was... What was it? Oh, no. You know, they don't just fall out of the sky. I do have to... obviously edit the videos together and stuff. Which songs? It might have been Nutbush City Limits. No, or was it Simply the Best? I think it was Simply the Best. In fact, that should be... Needs to get on with the politics here. This is getting ridiculous. I've been on for 20 minutes. Right, I'll just quickly see if I can find which song it is from my records. It was What's Love Got to Do With It? Of course it was. Right. This is a serious channel about politics and society from a left-wing perspective. Thank you for joining us on the Brews at 10 on My Left Eye. Red Bush. Odin Allfather's gotten to #1. In the community rankings. Let's not get too distracted now. Right, what are we doing first? Oh yeah, Starmer's gonna get us all killed, isn't he? How could I forget? This is bad. Went through this a little bit on the Sunday live stream, didn't we? And let's bring you people up in. I mean, on the screen. In the screen. So all of a sudden, oh by the way, we're probably going to be having a war at some point. Just very vague, but we found a lot of money for the war. It's just a coincidence. It's got nothing to do with capitalism and the industrial military complex. Oh no. Well, think of it, something security, national security. Excuse me. That's his angle. That's what Starmer's going for. But he's putting the budget up to 3 billion. Sorry, 3% of GDP. That's the long-term plan. So this Strategic Defence Review, or SDR, was made up of 62 recommendations, including 12 new nuclear-powered submarines. Because, yeah, they're cheap as chips, don't you know? 6 new munitions factories and embracing technologies like artificial intelligence. Did any of you actually watch the session in the House of Commons? I caught a little bit of it, but oh god, I think John Healey is just so nauseating, not just because of the topic in hand, which is why more of our taxes are going on death showers and potentially putting a target on our backs than they are for the NHS, public services, winter fuel payments, support for students. But he's awful, and I really I didn't think I could get any more sick of hearing the word deliver, because it's just all over the place now. It's leaked into the press and other people, instead of, you know, introducing or bringing in the normal sort of lexicon that they would use. Now it's sort of, it's delivered, and I'm actually glad to see the back of Postman Twats for regular viewers who'll know what I'm referring to there with the word, how that refers to the word deliver. But it was like every 5 to 7th words was that one in what John Healey was saying. Obviously, I'm dead against this. I'm assuming that you are as well. My main problem with it is how it really draws attention to us as directly threatening the most nuclear-armed state on the planet that we know is run by an authoritarian madman. Who's currently at war with another absolute arsehole. Yeah, but John Healey and Keir Starmer really do want to take us for fools. I just don't know if they think, you know, we came down with the last drop of rain or whatever. But for one thing, they seem to be implying that assuming Russia somehow managed to annex all of Ukraine in the future, that Putin will then continue to sweep through Europe. But it's a phony panic is the main thing. It's a phony, fake panic just to get private hands on public money via defence contracts. That's all it is, and they can try and impress us or not with statements. And I've got, and God, you want to see this, people. I've got an example coming up of Facebook posts from Labour Party official Facebook post. And there's the most obvious planted comments that you've ever seen in your life. This isn't a new thing. The Tories used to do this on their official pages. The first comment will be, you go on the profiles and it's a couple of weeks old at most, and they've only ever had 3 posts, and whatever. An obvious bot, but this one really takes the mick. I'll show you that in just a second. But it's just an absolute insult to the British public, because for months and months now, Starmer has been saying, "Oh, sorry, there absolutely is no money left, that it was even worse than we thought when we took over from the Tories. Honest, it was so much worse than we thought. That's why we can't give you this and have to take that away. And what we're going to be bringing in isn't nearly a fraction of what we're going to be taking out." But what's that smell? What's that smell? Oh, is it private profits from war? Oh, sorry, can't talk. Got to go off and, talk to this guy with a briefcase. Sorry, Granny. Sorry, students. Sorry, people who work 40, 50, 55, sometimes 60 hours a week for base rates of pay that are an insult. As well as our doctors and nurses. Some of whom are having to use food banks now. Yes, you heard that correctly. In case you didn't know already. Where was I? Just a bit more from this article. So the SDR carried out by former Defence Secretary. I think that's supposed to say secretary, not secretary. There's a... Oh, goodness me. We're going to have to email the Beeb now, aren't we? What on earth is a secretary? Don't people proofread these things anymore? I mean, what is our licence fee money going towards? When will the BBC wake up and realise that secretary is not spelt this way? Okay. So, Defence Secretary Lord Robertson found the UK's armed forces are not currently equipped to fight opponents like Russia or China. No shit. I mean, do these people genuinely think that we hold the world to the barrel of a gun these days? They're living like, you know, hundreds of years in the past. No shit, we couldn't take on Russia or China by ourselves. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? They'd tear us a new arsehole, and I know that we've had, you know, historic things to be proud of, the Battle of Britain, and, you know, our boys fought them off in the air and all the rest of that. But no, lots of things have changed these days, and indeed empires have been and gone, and you can count Great Britain amongst that. Also the Ottomans, you know, well, they were on their way out at the start of the First World War anyway. But as empires fade, others come into existence or development, and alas, now we have the American Empire. So they're throwing China into the conversation as well. This is another thing. Is it just like some sort of overconfident pisshead at a bar that's trying to start a fight with literally everybody? You know, in terms of geopolitical language and grandstanding, do you want to call it that? Symbology. Or optics. It's essentially, we're saying, come on then, we'll take you all on. And in this hypothetical war that we need to be ready for, who might we be fighting side by side with, Starmer? Donald Trump? Oh yeah, I'm sure that'll go really well. So they're even hypothesizing China by saying it's a sophisticated and persistent challenge. Likely to continue seeking advantage through espionage and cyber attacks, and is expected to have 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030. Iran and Korea are also highlighted and described as regional disruptors. Is there something he's not telling us? Have we received some sort of direct or indirect threat? We're going to have to dig out the picture that I created, the the appeasement. The Neville Chamberlain, Neville Starmer. Right, let's just quickly have a look at some of the other announcements in the review, and then I'll show you this. Oh god, this Facebook post. My god, awful. A new hybrid navy with ACUS submarines and autonomous vessels that can patrol North Atlantic. £15 billion to be spent on new nuclear warheads. I mean, we've already got Trident, you know, we already have this massive nuclear deterrent that's supposed to be a deterrent at least. What's going on? Does that not work? In which case, get rid of it, because it is costing us hundreds of billions of pounds. But if it does work, then you don't have to spend any more money on this stuff, do you? What else have we got? 7,000 long-range weapons, including missiles or drones. A pledge to set up a cyber and electromagnetic command to boost the military's defence and offensive capabilities in cyberspace. £1.5 billion for repairs to military housing and £1 billion on tech to speed up to speed up the introduction of targeting information to soldiers. Yeah, John Healey, not Austin Healey. John Healey said the changes would help create a British army which is 10 times more lethal. 10 times more lethal? How lethal is it now? How do you measure lethal? What, how many? What? 10 times more lethal? That sounds like something they put on the side of a fucking kid's toy box. G.I. Keith. In action, man. He also signalled the government plans to increase the size of the army from 74,400 to at least 76,000 full-time soldiers after the next election. The cadet forces will expand by 30% by 2030, with a gap year offered to people interested in sampling military life. It's not so much of a gap year then, is it, Keith? People do all sorts of things on gap years and whatever. They might just decide to spend some time to themselves. They might go travelling. I know a lot of people do have to do that on the cheap, hitchhiking and through personal contacts and whatnot. Lots of things that people do. They might want to develop a hobby that they've had for a while and not really gotten into, but go and what do you want to... Again, you're just going to put them into the meat grinder in Ukraine, is that it? The big elephant in the room, people, you will not win a land battle in Russia. Russia cannot be invaded. It is more... You can ask any military expert, historian, whatever and whatnot. It's not just the geography, the vastness of it, it's the very geography itself. I've mentioned before that in Russia and Ukraine's case, Ukraine is essentially the neck of what becomes a huge bottle, and the further you go into Russia from the west, the more it expands. Need I mention how both Napoleon and Hitler failed because of the Russian winter, for example? But that's the big elephant in the room. This isn't being addressed, and this, will take you on attitude isn't good. It's not good for peace. We already know the kind of mentality that we're dealing with Vladimir Putin. Other countries were mentioned there, North Korea, Iran and China, etc. But we know that he's particularly stubborn. We know that he is willing we know that he's willing to invade territory, because we've seen that in Ukraine and Crimea, for example. How best can we sum it up? Are we poking the bear with a stick? Are we poking a bear with a stick? I think this is, yeah, Morbius. This decade, the 2020s, I think, is going to be a particularly monumental one. I think we could reach... I mean, we've already had monumental things. We've had COVID, for example. Global pandemic. The first in, you know, recent history. But in geopolitical affairs, unfortunately as well in global war, in terms of global war. And we're halfway through the decade. You know, halfway through the third decade into the century, and it's not looking great, is it? Graham Turner, thanks for joining us in the chat. No, it's not a good idea to hit nuclear sites, but it is a good idea to hit the thumbs up button, which I'm sure you've all done. And did Bernie, yes, you hit the button before you joined the stream. Interesting. Interesting and very good work. Let's see what else you're saying in the chat, people. That's another good point as well, more about the sort of circling like vultures, aren't they, around the areas that are going to be exposed by the climate crisis, by rising temperatures, the Arctic, the Antarctic, Greenland. It's all that they can think about is money and markets, and yeah, what a catastrophe. Doc Davies, you've got a World War II air raid shelter. Well, it's probably going to be everyone down to Doc Davies' place soon. I'll provide the brews. I'm quite happy to. Though, Doc, if when we all get there it turns out to be a series of Anderson shelters that have just been gaffer taped together, then please do let us know. Are we talking about an underground kind of thing, or what are we talking? Could it sustain the brew crew? For how long? Right, I think we've lingered on the article for long enough. I did want to share this Facebook post with you as well. Just very quickly on this topic before I'll move on. Clive. There'll be shelter pay. Oh, don't. I've only just recovered from that listed nicknames for Trump from Sunday. I heard another one actually that I'm going to mention a bit later on. Hope I don't forget it. Shelter pay. Right, where was I? What am I doing? What day is it? I just need to make some adjustments here, people. I'll get you back on the screen. There we go. So take a look at this. This is the original post. Now, I don't follow their page anymore. I used to be, you know, a party member. But, no, and I've blocked all emails and whatnot. But I still get suggested posts, and this was one that came up on my feed. Secure at home, strong abroad. Securing Britain's future, da 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 da. It's very Tory, isn't it? Very Tory. What does strong abroad mean? What does strong abroad mean? Is he trying to find the ear of the meatheads who are like, yeah, we're going to get our empire back, aren't we? But they're already going to vote for reform, Keith. Yes, Andy, I was thinking the same thing. Strong and stable vibes. 100%. Very much strong and stable vibes. And Keith's got even less personality than Theresa May. What does that tell you? Someone else who lost popularity alarmingly quickly, but again, nowhere near as quickly as Keith here. Might be for reasons such as this post, but also, one sec, drinking my brew, for obvious planted posts that are right, you know, first comment that you see, if you click on the comments, I went on to throw some shade, was immediately confronted by this from an alleged Mohammed Radakabana. So first of all, this is a British Muslim. The Labour have been very clear about this, of course. I'm sure that a lot of British Muslims are very happy with the Labour Party, the Labour Lacod Party, aren't they, at the moment? Well, Mohammed here certainly is, and I'm sure that he exists and is a real person. Right, Phil? Phil says yes. And he's so happy with Labour and the direction that the party's taking under Keir Starmer. He's shown real leadership and integrity. I'll be proudly voting for him in the next election. Let's give Labour 10 years to deliver the change that this country needs. No full stop. So that was posted, you can see there, 4 hours before I saw it, with 81 reactions, most of them being laughs, and the comments certainly weren't going for it either. Now, I think the only one thing that could have made it even more obvious that this is a bot or a plant, whatever it might be, is if he said, Sir Keir Starmer, you know. So if it went, I'm so happy with Labour and the direction of the party, the the direction the party is taking under Sir Keir Starmer, former Director of Public Prosecutions, whose mother was a nurse and whose dad was a toolmaker, and so on. What a load of bollocks. This is what Keir Starmer thinks of you. This is what Keir Starmer thinks of your intelligence. And just how gullible you might be to think that that is a genuine comment from a genuine Labour supporter who just so happens to have a Muslim first name. You'll have to forgive me, I don't know the origin of the surname Ruda Cubana, however, it's not one that I've come across before. It just reeks of utter desperation, really, doesn't it? He can't find any support, so he has to fabricate it. Has to fabricate. Fabricate, from fabricate to fabricant. Excuse me, sorry, couldn't resist. Just while I'm on the subject of Facebook posts, I saw another one. Sorry, I don't have it loaded on the broadcast software, but I shall describe it to you. It was one of Michael Fabricant, you know, the sort of basement bin Johnson guy with the shit blonde wig, the Tory, posted a picture, and the comment with the picture was, "It's great to be back, such and such, catching up with friends," or something like that, or having a drink with friends, whatever it was. And there was a picture of himself in the beer garden of a pub, or outside the front of a pub, where there were benches, sort of looked like a country setting, and there must have been about 5 benches in the shop, all empty, apart from him. And then the first comment on that was, "Friends? What friends?" You know. So it's not going great for politicians with social media posts. Right, let's move on, people. Oh God, I just realised one. Mensa time's coming up. Shit. Right. But before that, just quick review of what's been going on today. Unfortunately, more reports of people being shot at these new aid distribution centres, which the United States and Israel have developed. It's absolute chaos. The IDF know what they're doing. They're trying to take advantage of the fact that everybody's packed together, and they'll use whatever excuse that they can to fire shots at civilians. Unarmed civilians, of course. I'll go into how they've responded those criticisms in just a moment. In fact, earlier today, they did admit it, that they fired on civilians. I think the last time I was on stream on Sunday, they'd outright denied it, which I did mention meant that they were still in that first stage where they deny that it happened. And now we're past that and into the stage where they say, "Oh, okay, it did happen, but such and such, Hamas." So the article goes on to say it's clear that the GHF system has fundamental flaws, bearing out the worst fears of aid professionals. Yeah, no shit. Jake Wood, the head of GHF, resigned just over a week ago, saying it would not be able to fulfil the principles of humanity, neutrality, impartiality and independence. Right, let's get into some clips. Got some stuff lined up. Oh, just one thing before I get onto the clip. But yes, Clive, your big moment will be coming up soon. Which clip will it be? All of Politics Clive's points are on the line. I meant to put this in the Sunday live stream. Just a very quick one. Just speaking of solidarity that Manchester's shown recently as well. Steve Coogan, who's Mancunian, you'll no doubt recognise him from TV and films, read out the name of 15,000 children who were killed in Gaza. 15,000. So he was among many people at the vigil organised by Choose Love, which was on Thursday, I think that said. Oh, this ad's popping up here. Sorry about that. So a quote says it was showing that the names are not just statistics. They are real people, real children who had lives, who died, and it's to some extent to humanise them. Well done, Steve Coogan. Photographer also read out some of the names as well. Just quickly wanted to point that out to people. Well done, Steve Coogan. Mancunian, they really do like to see that. And go into some clips now. Let's see what we've got. What's the music? I will have an update on the flotilla, by the way, to come up as we get through the Gaza latest. That's the flotilla with Greta Thunberg and Liam Cunningham. Oh, can't get my words out. I assure you I'm drinking tea. Right, I'm going to play this one first, which was a British doctor who has been interviewed by Sky earlier today, I believe. Just to sort of get a sense of the real facts, which I'm sure we're all aware of anyway. But just before we get through the David Mensa clip, this doctor's going to illustrate what he's seen. And he's noticing a pattern as well, which will certainly put the claim that the IDF are targeting Hamas to the test. That's one way of putting it. So let's check this out, people. Let's see what's happening.
Gaza's health ministry, which is run by Hamas, says at least 24 people have been killed while waiting to receive aid in Rafah. The Israel Defense Forces confirmed it fired shots near what they call a few individual suspects who are accused of advancing towards Israeli soldiers. They say they are investigating.
Well, Nasser Hospital in Gaza is one of the last functioning medical facilities, and a team of British doctors is working there, and they say the situation has become desperate with supplies scarce.
One of the doctors working in Rafah is Goher Rabor, a consultant surgeon from London, and he joins us now. Good morning. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. How are things there at the moment?
Hi there, morning. Thanks for having me. We could talk about the mass casualty event which occurred on Sunday, but the whole situation here is very, very desperate. You've had guests before, but just generally the situation with antibiotics and swabs, muscle relaxants, there's just a complete lack of everything. But happy to talk about the mass casualty events which took place on Sunday, of which there was two.
Doctor, can you just give us an insight? This might sound a bit strange, I don't know, but how are you and your team coping in this situation? How are you looking after each other?
The team and other colleagues, we're doing fine. What is actually really, really remarkable is the strength of the Gaza Palestinian doctors, healthcare, who've suffered for 19 months. It is absolutely phenomenal how they function. And I'll give you an example. So in the mass casualty event, one of the consultants who was operating with, his cousin had actually gone to the food distribution center, had been shot, had been killed. This consultant buried him on the Sunday and then came to work.
Likewise, I really have to admire the resolve. We're looking at these images and pictures, videos, halfway across the world and hearing stories and testimony as well. And I personally have been very moved, brought to tears, and even worse, literally physically sickened by images and videos that I've seen from Gaza. These people are right there on the front lines. These are the people that have to try and save all of these people's lives, and I've just really, you can't put into scale the difference, and you really do have to admire the strength, because they're risking their lives as well. They know that hospitals are targets, so that just makes them all the more commendable. And it's really actually good to see British doctors over there helping out as well.
So, you can put my side and other colleagues, but the Gaza doctors and the healthcare workers, it's just phenomenal. It's unprecedented. I have full admiration for them.
You're there, we're not. Israel won't allow independent foreign journalists into Gaza to see for ourselves what is going on. So, of course, we have to take our information from other places. I'm keen to ask you, Goher, what you see of Hamas. The Israel Defense Forces argue that they are attacking Hamas, who are hiding in places or beneath places like hospitals. They talk about the tunnels under Gaza, and Hamas, as we know, still has a large presence and a large influence over the Strip.
A lot of crap,
what do you see of them?
Zero, absolutely zero. So I'm here for
Nothing.
a month. I've been here 2 weeks.
Zero.
You go around the hospital and absolutely zero. What
Zero.
we're seeing is...
Not some, not a bit. Not there were some here, they went long ago. They haven't been here, they've never been here. He's seen zero. Zero.
Is kids. So from the mass casualties, for example, in the afternoon that comes along, and then in the evening, you go into recess, you see a little girl who's about, that big, and her foot's hanging off about a meter away. The second person you see in resus is
God.
another kid who's got their leg cut off at the knee. The third one is another kid who's had shrapnel in the front of their chest and at the
Ugh.
back of their chest. And you see these are the type
Terrible.
of patients, kids, women, everyone that's there.
Yeah.
You don't see, I've not seen any Hamas or anything like this.
So he's treated a lot of children, and other doctors have pointed out the abnormality in how often they treat gunshot wounds to the head and chest. So these appear to be obviously targeted. He's seen plenty of that. He's seen plenty of children being targeted. He's not even treated a single Hamas soldier or seen one. There haven't been any in the hospital, either as patients or using the hospital as a hideout, as is implied.
Yeah.
This is why they're not letting journalists into Israel, of course. I've got a clip about that to come up as well.
This is just simple, innocent people. And you can walk around the hospital. There's no issue. I've not been stopped or I've not seen anything. You can go anywhere you want.
Yeah, I mean, the situation remains utterly desperate. The hope, of course, is that there is some sort of agreement between Hamas and Israel's government to pause what's going on. You may not see them, but I'm sure you speak to Palestinians who hope for the same thing. What do they say to you?
We don't talk about politics on this. We're here as a medical mission.
Well, I do talk about politics. I'm sure that he'd like to be able to, but he's not doing so in that capacity. Andy just wanted to point out as well, that's a good point, if they were underneath, then the infantry should be sent in rather than bombs. That's a good point as well. If you happen to be severely unfortunate enough, say for example, to wake up in the night and there was an intruder, or let's say someone who was intending on harming you, and you phoned the police, and they told you that they understand the situation and they're sending bomber command straight away, I'm pretty sure you'd be a bit, why are you sending bomber command? Well, just to make sure that they get the perpetrator, they're going to have to blow up the whole neighbourhood. And there's a hospital and a school that are quite far away, but probably going to blow those up as well, just to make sure, because you can't be too certain, can you? But it's not our fault, of course. This is, But it's not even, that's not even a perfect analogy either, because obviously hospital staff and schools don't intend people harm as an intruder might. But you get what I mean. It's just, yeah.
As a doctor, you treat the patients, and that's primarily the focus of my role here. So we're keeping the politics side of things out, yes, and purely focused on the clinical side of things. And I can talk about some of the examples which happened sorry to interrupt there, but there was a couple of the cases which came in and I operated on Sunday. Two of those had bullets which had gone through the left side of their abdomen and involved lots of bowel loops and so forth. We operated on them, and at the time of the operations, the second case, the bullet that was removed, it's quite interesting how the colleagues in theatre mentioned it's an M16 bullet. I don't know anything about guns or bullets. And then yesterday, when I followed up two of those patients who both had gone to the safe distribution centre, they told me who had shot them and the type of bullets and so forth. So that was all very interesting.
And Doctor, in the last sort of 24 hours or so, we've been hearing news of shots fired at a distribution centre, people giving out aid. Have you heard anything about that at all?
Yes, so on Sunday, the mass casualty started at 7:45 a.m. I went to theatres. The two people, as I say, the first two I operated on, the first was a 22-year-old male, the second was a 20-year-old male. Both similar injuries from the left side of their abdomen and bullets that we took out from within the abdomen. yesterday, as a follow-up, the first patient who I spoke to, he's obviously recovering from major surgery. He said he had gone to the food distribution center, which is part of a safe zone, and he had obtained some food. When he left, then he was shot on. And like you're asking me these open questions, I also put to him, what was the event and who shot you? And he said the bullets came from the tanks. So soldiers who lifted themselves from the tanks and then fired.
This isn't firing what was described by Israel as a few warning shots at a couple of sort of ne'er-do-wells who weren't listening to directions. No, this is a deliberate attack. And it's another one of the appalling tactics similar to the one where obviously they don't just attack people, they then attack anyone who comes to their aid, whether it be a relative or just someone who was in the area at the time. And the same with aid workers who come to people's aid as well. But again, the sickest element, deliberately targeting children.
So for him, he was in a group of 4. One of them died. He himself and the other 2 lay on the floor for 1.5 hours before they could be taken away. And did anyone, come to help you from a military point of view? 0. The second guy, who is 20 years, he had gone to the same place and said that by the time he arrived, everything had already gone. He was fired upon by either American contractors or American military, but these were not penetrative injuries. It was more to do with the dispersion thing. When he left the compound, that's when he was fired upon. Again, question, who did the firing? In his words, IDF. And it was interesting, he said the same thing, M16 bullets. I was like, wow. And I asked these questions. It's part of the hospital. There's family members, there's no coercion. It's a very calm situation. They're obviously recovering from emergency surgery.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you obviously asked those questions to find out the state of the injuries and how it was caused. Go ahead, Rabor. We really appreciate you taking the time out to join us from what is an unimaginably difficult situation for you there. Thanks so much.
Well, you heard it there from the ground. American troops, M16 bullets. 0 Hamas. Those are the things that David Mensa and others don't want you to be talking about, that they don't want you to know. They try and suppress that information as best as they can. They always fail, always to great embarrassment as well. The propaganda that they try and use really is laughable. Just one brief clip here, just reiterating about Israel not wanting people to know the real situation. But even some mainstream media reporters seem to be speaking out about this a lot more now.
Saying that the Israeli forces have used excessive force against unarmed civilians who are gathered there in search of aid. And yes, of course, we would very much like to be doing first-hand reporting. I would like to be talking to you from somewhere near that scene, perhaps from a hospital, something like that, because at the scene itself it would be very, very dangerous. It is also clear, I think, that the reason why the Israelis do not allow international news teams to go into Gaza is because so much is happening there that they do not want the world to see and have properly reported.
properly reported, I think he was going to say there. It just cut off a little bit at the end. Of course, it's because they don't want them to see what's happening. And they think that by putting up spokes like David Mensa, that's really going to appease people. That we're really going to take that. Can't get my words out tonight. As an honest accounting of the events. So prepare yourselves, people. Bit of a trigger warning here. Got the David Mensa clip coming up next. So, Clive, let's see what it's going to be. Just one more, people. Just have to grab this.
Well, a short while ago, I spoke to the Israeli government spokesman,
The Channel 4 clip.
David Mensa, the IDF has...
One moment, I've just got to adjust my monitor settings. I can't hear it. So your points are safe, Clive. Good guess. Yeah, Channel 4 seemed to be a bit more pressy with Israel spokes compared to other outlets. But having seen, I've not seen all of both clips, do I have to say. But from what I did see, he says exactly the same thing in verbatim, pretty much word for word. No matter what question gets put to him, he will go off on his little merry trail. So I'll just kick this back to the start because couldn't hear that. Hit this thing. Okay, here we go with Krishnan Guru Murti.
Well, a short while ago, I spoke to the Israeli government spokesman, David Mensa. David Mensa, the IDF has admitted shots were fired this morning. Why is Israel firing at people who you have told it is safe to go and collect aid when they are desperate for food?
It's a very simple question. It's even been admitted that shots were fired by this point as well. But, you know.
First things first, Krishnan, we're trying to divorce Hamas from the aid distribution system because Hamas were taking the aid, profiting the aid. You know, they were charging poor, hungry Gazans to get this food. We're divorcing the two subjects of Hamas and aid distribution to allow hungry Gazans to get the food directly to be able to feed their families in an orderly way. Now, to the event...
Does that look orderly? Does anything about what has happened, not just in the last 24 hours, but since this shit show of a programme began? It's happened every day. It's happened every day.
This morning, Tuesday, the IDF have said that as crowds move towards along the designated routes towards a humanitarian aid distribution point in northern Gaza, Israeli soldiers identified several of those people. They left the approved access route. They The incident occurred approximately 500 meters, half a kilometer from the distribution site. And after issuing warnings, audio, verbal warnings, warning shots were fired in the air. And unfortunately, some
Unfortunately,
of these suspects continued advancing towards our troops in a threatening manner. And so
in a threatening manner. So I think Krishnan is about to ask him whether they were armed or not, these people approaching in a threatening manner. But the Sky host also put that to him, you know, a threatening manner. If they were armed, I'm sure that we'd have heard it from David. So you can take that as proof that they weren't.
further fire
they were
was
desperate
directed
for food.
near. No, where there are people.
You could tell by his expression as well. You know, I know exactly how he's feeling, but perhaps worse. You really never can believe just what Mensa comes out with sometimes, can you, people?
Desperate for food. We want them to get the food. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. We're trying to get the food to the individuals. Hamas,
were they armed?
The IDF will be able to answer that question directly, but let me tell you...
The IDF will be able to answer that question directly. Now, seeing as pretty much every sentence that comes out of this guy's mouth is a complete and utter pile of horse crap, it is that much of an established fact that they weren't armed. I'm guessing that even he daren't lie and say that they were. They were defenceless and they were not being aggressive. This is what we're going to find out.
Our intention is to get as much food to ordinary Gazans. In the video of the incident on Sunday, the IDF have already released that video, and it showed as clear as daylight.
That's a totally separate incident, David.
Right, but this is very, very important to put this into context.
That's a totally separate incident in a different place.
No, it's not.
And there's no evidence that was even Hamas.
It's 2 days before. It's
not different. It's the same incident. It was just 2 days before somewhere else. Fuck me. Is the... Oh. Wow. Is this what it's going to be like, hopefully, in The Hague? When they put in the defence forward. So as you can see here, then, I don't know. We've seen footage of the incident. Christian's face is looking even more screwed up and confused. David Dementia.
2 days before, and these are Hamas gunmen firing on their own people, Christian.
You don't know that.
David, have you ever heard of the Hannibal Directive? You like to talk about October the 7th until you're blue in the face. But you never want to talk about the Hannibal Directive, do you? How many of these 1,200 people who were killed were actually fired upon by the IDF under the Hannibal Directive in a sweeping move that made everybody a target? Not want to talk about that, David? Okay, so we know that they weren't armed when they were acting aggressively or threateningly, as he described it. But all of a sudden, they found some weaponry and then started to use it on their own citizens. Is that what he's trying to say? So they didn't use it when they were trying to get the aid from the official source, but they used it on their own fellow sufferers and civilians. Is this what Mensa wants us to believe? Does he think that we were born yesterday?
Why they're
There's
doing
no
that?
evidence for that. And it's in a
Well, we've
totally
shown you
separate
the
incident.
video.
Let's keep
We've
it to what
released
happened
the
this
video.
morning. Let's
Yeah, well,
keep
we
it to
That
what
was a
happened
good
this
freeze
morning.
frame, wasn't it,
Was
of
anybody
Dean?
wrong?
You can't
Did anybody
separate the
fire
two.
at the IDF?
We can't separate the two. We can't separate the two. Now, the IDF said they were advancing in a threatening manner, and obviously they felt
The reason they can't separate the two is because they never do separate the two. They try and portray every single Palestinian civilian as a member of Hamas. But of course the two weren't connected in the first place. All this bollocks about Hamas stealing all of the aid is as much crap as any of this that he's putting out at the moment, for reasons that I've mentioned all too often. It's just appalling. So he's got his own, John Pullen, thanks for joining us, he's got his own YouTube channel, has he? Well, oh, interesting. You left a comment on one of his videos, someone replied getting defensive and you accused them of being him, and then they deleted all their comments. So you think he was replying to you using a different account and a different name, pretending to be just a viewer? Wow. I really wouldn't put it past him. I really wouldn't put it past him. What does that say? National Public Diplomacy Director is Prime Minister's office. You know, I'm sure he loves saying that title.
their lives
Let's crack
were
on.
does that mean?
under threat. The IDF operates under international law, not Channel 4 law, international law.
Channel
And
4
that's why
law?
it's
What's
very
that
important.
supposed to
The
be?
details of this case are very important. Now, the IDF is aware of
The IDF operates under international law. Wow. Wow. You get lost for words sometimes, don't you? The IDF has been operating under international law. Okay. Tell that to 100,000 dead Gazans. You absolute piece of shit.
these reports and also of casualties, and they are reviewing the incident. But look, a couple of things are clear. We are not preventing the arrival of Gazans. The opposite. We want more humanitarian aid sites and we want more Gazans to collect that food. We're encouraging it. Now, these warning shots were fired
David, twice.
away.
Yeah, you're ringing the dinner bell. Come and get it. Blam. Come and get it. Bang. Come and get it. Boom. Come and get it. What? You want to open... I'm sure that you do. I'm sure that you do. Because you think that you've now got some sort of license to attack civilians in a different context, in a different capacity. Even when they're pretending to help people, they can't help but murder them. This is happening right in front of our eyes. Yeah, I'm sure that they'd love to have... Have they actually distributed anything yet? What's it got to be? Around 900 trucks a day worth that's got to get through to them? And that's the very stuff that they need. Right, let's carry on.
From the
Now,
aid distribution
twice
plant.
now,
Yeah.
desperate people who have been starved for weeks have been shot at while trying to collect aid. You are terrifying the population of Gaza even more. They're too scared now to go to collection points because they know they could be shot at by the IDF.
So that is precisely the Hamas rhetoric that they want you to publish.
It's the
And let's
fact
be
of
clear,
what's
Israel
happened.
My God! Surely anybody can come to that conclusion themselves. Anyone with just a minuscule modicum of intelligence can come to that conclusion. I've not read a single bit of a Hamas press release or anything like that. What's he talking about? What is he talking about? Just from knowing the situation and the facts, you can't come to any other conclusion as to what's happened. And it's not people regurgitating and parroting Hamas. Jesus Christ.
More than
Is
50
not,
people
no,
are
that's
dead.
not the facts, Krishnan. You have got the facts wrong, because we've already shown you video of Hamas firing on their own people, because this is the
No, you
last
haven't.
hand. Yes, we have. We released
The video was from Sunday, and that's not what was in the video.
on Sunday evening.
That is a
We did
totally
release it.
spurious video. It's a spurious video of a different incident
What, the video
in a
of
different
Hamas
place.
firing? No, the video of Hamas firing on their own people trying to get hold of aid is spurious, is it? I
Yeah.
think it's,
You have
it's
no
precisely the
evidence
point.
that that was Hamas or it was at the same incident.
Okay, that's slightly ridiculous. Sometimes, Christian, you actually advocate
Christ,
for
have you
Hamas,
got a mirror
and
at
I
your
must
house?
say it's bizarre.
You want to
No,
see
that's
something
offensive,
ridiculous?
David, and you really shouldn't say things
It is
like that.
offensive to
It's
Israel.
just attacking the media.
It is offensive to
and
Israel.
It's a talking
because you-
point, and it just shows you're avoiding the question. The question is...
I'm not avoiding the question.
This
I'm
aid operation
precisely
that you
arguing.
are... This
Just making something up about something completely different. That's not avoiding the question. Another interesting freeze frame there. Looks like he's caught his knob in a freezer door or something. Well, I guess that could apply to Christian as well. We better move on.
aid operation that you are operating now is ineffective. The UN one worked,
The
and you have
opposite is
stopped
true.
the UN distributing
The
aid.
opposite is true.
It was the UN who were
The
distributing aid,
opposite.
not Hamas.
The opposite is true, Christian. Over 7 million meals have been delivered in 1 week. Aid is reaching civilians, but not Hamas. This is their last hand. Hamas is
The
last
ones you
hand
don't
on
kill.
the neck of the last hand on the neck of Gaza's people. We're breaking that link. We've even produced a woman-only aid lane, which was launched today, which is
Well, is that so that you can specifically target? Are you going to start a kids-only lane as well, and then you just start spraying up the line and emptying your fucking clips into them? You sick bastard!
protecting vulnerable populations amongst Gazans. Look, reports where there are injuries are going to be investigated, but we've shown already with video Hamas
They're dead,
doesn't want
they're
this
dead,
to work.
David. They're not just
Hamas
injuries.
doesn't.
I mean, there's a
Hamas-
pattern here, is the trouble, of you
Christian.
saying things and Israel saying things that turn out later to be untrue. And that's clearly what's happening here as well.
So that is what Hamas wants you to think. We
Oh, for God's sake! He thinks that people can't think for themselves. He thinks that people only fall for his propaganda or some other propaganda that isn't even propaganda. The main part of what they were just saying there, of course, is that they've totally banished all of the official international aid workers, UNRWA, World Central Kitchen, or they've created a situation where they can't operate because it's too dangerous, because they're being targeted. No coincidence.
developed
It's
a
the
new
fact.
system to separate. No, it's not the fact. The facts are that 7 million meals have been given to hungry Gazans. That's the facts. Over 7 million meals delivered in 1 week. That
It's going to turn out to be like 17, and I don't mean 17 million, I mean like 17 meals or something like this. 7 million. That could feed the population more than 3 times over.
never happened under
And they've done that on, what, in a week? No. Not buying that.
the former system because Hamas stole the aid. Then they extorted their own people. They charged them money. No Gazan should be charged money for aid which they deserve, which is due to them because they are hungry. Hamas was using those funds to sustain this war.
Most
We're
aid
breaking that
was
link.
given out
We're
by the
breaking that
United
link.
Nations, and people were...
They don't pay for it. Well, yeah, within Gaza. a bag of flour costs $1,000, as I mentioned on the Sunday live stream. But aid distribution is free. It has been donated by organisations and individuals. I've made donations to organisations for Gaza. You know, tiny portion of what's on those trucks might be from my donations. I don't know. But it's bought and paid for, David. Do you think that they set up a till? That's a cash register if you're watching in America. So, no, that's not what's happening. That's not, and they've all, you know, it's not like going to the supermarket, David.
Not being charged for it. Now the United Nations
Most
Secretary
aid
General,
was stolen.
who is a man who's respected
Most aid
all
was
over
stolen.
the
It
world,
wasn't.
He's not
See,
respectful.
if you can't win an argument, just repeat a lie over and over again.
for an
not
independent
respected.
investigation.
No, I'm sorry.
Will
the
you
UN is
allow
not
an
respected.
independent investigation? It
No,
is
the UN
around
is
most
not
of the world,
respected.
maybe not in Israel. So
Every
are you rejecting
single
an independent
Gazan
investigation?
terrorist, every single Hamas terrorist, which are
Find me one Gazan. Find me one Gazan, and if it's so abundant as you claim, surely you can find one Gazan who would go on the record, perhaps on camera, and testify that Hamas stole their food. Show me one, David. Just one example out of 2 million people. He can't. He knows he can't. Obviously, I know he can't hear me right now making that request. But again, like with the lack of evidence for the people acting aggressively, being armed, there is no evidence for what David's saying here. And if he had it, he would use it. They would milk that to death. Absolutely, for all it's worth. They'd play that clip 1,000 times. Look, look. But all they've got is a spurious clip that probably isn't from the time or place that they claim that it is. Pathetic.
attacked us on October the 7th was a graduate of a United Nations education. Now, you cannot tell me that the UN is a respected organization. They have unfortunately perpetuated this conflict. They should be humanitarian.
Well, you may
we
not
want them to be
respect the UN,
humanitarian.
but are you
we have begged
rejecting-
them. We have begged
This is
them
not
to be
just the UN
humanitarian.
calling for this.
But they
Are you
wish to
rejecting an
sustain
independent
Hamas's
investigation?
leadership. They wish to
Are
sustain
you
Hamas's
rejecting an
leadership,
independent
and we
investigation?
are not. Listen, when the
Yeah, Andy, that's a good point about the aid that was airdropped in, and it landed on civilians. Again, air quotes, accidentally. Odin pointing out the, very suspect, which I think it was. What are they going to do next? Glue rice to, missiles?
British Army is accused of doing misdemeanors, there is no
They'll probably say, look, oh no, that's a sick joke. I'm not going to make it. No.
independent investigation.
I'm not
There
going
is
there.
an internal investigation.
Two wrongs
That's
don't
what
make a
all
right.
democracies do. No, because it's double standards, Krishnan. That's what you're guilty of. Different rules apply to Israel. Is it because we're Jewish, Christian? Is that why you think there are special rules?
Oh, it was
which
only a
apply
matter of
to
time.
this country?
Oh, it was only a matter of time, wasn't it? What's he about to say here about special rules?
Only Jewish country in the, in
No,
the
I'm
entire
saying-
world.
Oh, so you want to talk about countries that act like they've got exceptions to the rule, do you? You want to talk about exceptionalism, do you? First of all, obviously, this isn't what David's suggesting it is, which is an anti-Semitic attack or rhetoric or anything of the sort. He's resorting to very desperate tactics at this point. But that is rich. That is rich. And remember, this, I'll give out some free advice for helping your way through videos of David Mensa if you're not that familiar with him. First of all, just remember that you know what the opposite of what he says is going to be true. What comes out of his mouth is all absolute lies. Every sentence. But ultimately, you have to remember that a narcissist's accusations, as we're seeing here, are simply confessions. Never forget that. Because Israel is pure narcissism and does have a massive sense of exceptionalism.
There are calls
This country
all around
is
the
being
world for
demonized.
an independent investigation.
This country is being...
Because you won't allow the press in, you won't allow international organisations in,
Precisely,
and you are
that's
judging
not true.
yourselves.
International
That's why they have
organisations,
no
we
credibility.
We do have
We're the
credibility.
victims.
You're not allowing
we're the
international
victims.
media in. You do not give free passage to the United Nations. You've expelled UNRWA, the organisation which was dispensing aid, and you're saying that you'll investigate yourselves. It's no wonder people don't trust that.
So we're not interested in your trust. Our priority is getting our hostages home, Christian. That's what we care about.
It's actually... Oh, God. Oh. He said a sentence that was actually true. Yeah, you don't care about our trust, because we certainly have none. None for you, none for Netanyahu, and none for this failure of a state that's only 80 years old and has done nothing but annex land and try and obliterate an entire people off the face of the planet. So I don't really have much faith in that. No, David. Can't say I do.
Not sending journalists in. We want to get our hostages out. That's what we care about. Now, real journalists enter Gaza with the IDF. Hamas journalists never leave. And many of these
Stop
so-called
hijacking
journalists
ceasefire talks.
killed in Gaza.
An escort around Gaza.
Yeah. Many
Most
of these
real
so-called
journalists from outside
in
Israel are
Gaza-
not allowed into Gaza. Let us in.
Right, so we
Why
want to
won't you
get
let us
our
in?
hostages. We want to...
Yeah, Odin. All far-right ideologies, a lot of the rhetoric there is always about a sense of superiority as a people, whether it be nationalism, which of course Israel's a classic example of modern nationalism, one whose roots are easily traceable, again, them being a new country. We've seen it obviously in the past with Germany. In the 1930s, we've seen other examples of it as well. America certainly has a sense of exceptionalism, but I guess in Israel's case, it goes even further than exceptionalism, which is a form of naivety, almost. But in Israel's case, it is usually, as I said, about racial superiority and inferiority. Obviously, whatever the target that they have, their described enemy will be the inferior people or whatever it is. But there's this sense of divinity in it as well. Even Mussolini, in the creation of fascism, used that a lot. The chosen people choosing to draw up a lot of the old imagery of the Roman Empire as well, for example. A lot of it was fake, never actually existed, of course, including the famous salute recently in the headlines with Elon Musk, for example. But other things like that. But there's always this sense of, yeah, it's a massive red flag. And unfortunately, we'll see history repeating once again. Rise up, people.
Get our hostages out, and rather than you in, Christian. That's our priority. Maybe your
You
priority
don't want us to
is
see
to get
what
into
you're doing.
Gaza.
That's the truth.
Okay, so the story's on every single screen across the world. So this nonsense, this canard of it's not getting stories not getting out
checked
there.
by the international media, and it allows you
Right.
to say what's coming out of Gaza is untrue. So you stop
we
us
are,
going in, and you dismiss what's coming out, and so you can carry on saying whatever you want, and you won't allow any independent investigation or scrutiny.
It's good to see Christian doing a good job in really pressing him on these issues. I want to point that out as well. It reminds me of the time they had, I can't remember if it was Mensa or a different spokesperson on, but the time he cut him off and he said, if you're not going to answer my question, then I'm not going to let you do the propaganda bit afterwards, and then just cut them off and went to something else. Really good.
Look, when it comes to journalists, we are a free country, we are a free society, we have the most...
Call an ambulance, it's happened. That's a joke. God. Oh, wow.
most open media of anywhere, hundreds of miles in any direction. But unfortunately, an independent journalist...
How many journalists are in there right now? How many? None.
Media in Gaza gets killed because if you put out...
I mean, we talk about the record number of journalists who've been killed in the last 20 months and whatnot, but let's not forget that going back further than that, I remember watching live as it was breaking news when they blew up the Al Jazeera offices, for example, and they've blown up multiple buildings of that news organisation as well since then.
Anything hostile to Hamas, you get killed in Gaza. That's the reality.
It's the Israelis who have a record of killing journalists, whether it's Shireen Abu Akleh or James Miller or others.
That's an appalling. You know, many so-called journalists in Gaza are actually, unfortunately, these are facts that many of these so-called journalists are just.
He just won't have it, will he? It's just absolutely deaf. He's, you know, this is playing dumb on top of being dumb, which is a very dangerous combination as well. It's just so thick-headed, so thick-skulled. He can't absorb a single fact. He can't acknowledge a single fact that would make him have to answer the question, whatever question's being put to him. It's that bad. It's that bad. We've seen some awkward moments from spokespersons, through all realms of politics. Historically, this has got to be the absolute worst of the worst. I think it more than surpasses any kind of UK political spokes that we've seen, because obviously we're talking about massive scale atrocities here. So
Hamas operatives with press vests. You know, just check their social media. It's full of praise for Hamas, for the simple reason that if you're a journalist in Gaza and you put out anything hostile to Hamas, you get murdered. Our priority is getting our hostages out, not your journalists in.
Wow. The only thing he got right there was that journalists get murdered. But not by Hamas, by the IDF. That's as far as the clip goes, people. What do you make of that? I just need a moment here. That was That was something else. But if we're going to fight this, we're going to have to step up to some pretty unpleasant characters, and that includes David Mensa. I noticed he didn't get as shouty as he normally did. He was very interruptive, rude, but not the levels of volume that we're used to. And as the volume increases, his nostrils swell up and flare up. You notice that? Yeah, it's one of those. But fundamentally, people, the aid is not getting through, and there are a few people out there who are trying to do something about that. People are speaking up with demos and marches all over the world, but quite a few well-known faces are speaking up as well. We'll be checking the latest on the flotilla, the Palestine Coalition flotilla, in just a moment, but I've got a clip here from singer Paloma Faith, who's been outspoken as well. So this is from the Choose Love, are they a foundation or organisation, I believe?
This is an urgent message for Keir Starmer, sent from a child called Mo in Gaza. As a mother, I can't bear to see another body of a child killed in Gaza. 16,000 children are already dead. Keir Starmer, you must suspend all UK arms sales and licenses to Israel and use all available means to stop the killing and get food and medicine into Gaza without military interference. It's time to end UK complicity for Mo and every child like him.
Well, it's an extraordinary gathering.
Sorry about that, people. Yeah, we heard from Greta on the last clip, so we're going to hear from Liam Cunningham here.
Well, it's an extraordinary gathering of people here who are ordinary people from all walks of life. And they have gathered here to try and break this siege, break the blockade, which is under international law, under any measure of ethics and morality, it needs to be broken. And governments are not standing up for what their legal obligations are under international law. So it takes a disparate group like this to try and achieve it. Well, anybody that was fearful of using the word genocide, that's gone now. And I'll give you an example of that. There's a Dutch media outlet contacted 8 of the world's leading genocide scholars. Every one of them, they very unusually were unanimous that there is genocide going on, and at the very least genocidal intent and genocidal violence. And again, we go back to the responsibility of the international community, and they're not standing up for international law. The only things that have changed the world radically have not come from the seats of government. It's come from people standing up and saying we've had enough. And I've often said that revolutions never happen because it's a good idea. They happen because people have no choice. And in this situation, people have no choice. To use that well-worn maritime phrase, we wish them Godspeed. They're laying what we hope is not going to be their lives on the line. They're doing something because they are human beings and they care for their fellow human beings, and they will not give up on people who are in trouble, in desperate trouble. We're sick of words. We're sick of weasel words. We're sick of appeasement with people saying, oh, we're going to think about sanctioning. We're going to think about this. We're going to stop a trade deal. Not enough. The words are not enough. Action is required.
Well said, Liam Cunningham. Of course, yeah, real action is required. And of course, Liam's Irish. For anybody who's not seen him speaking in real life, he's not actually from the northeast of England, which is the accent he adopted in Game of Thrones for his character. Which, funnily enough, actually, his surname in the show was Seaworth, and he was his character was a smuggler. So there's like nautical connections there. It's what I'm saying. I just hope it doesn't end up like a particularly famous episode, shall we say. Yeah, so that video was taken just before they set off, and I'm going to give you an update on the progress now. Mentioned on Sunday's live stream just a bit about the threats that have been made. Obviously there was the incident with the last attempt at the flotilla. So everybody's hoping that it's a safe journey, of course. It's not that one. Okay, so they're about a third-ish of the way there, between a quarter and a third-ish of the way there, as they head towards the Gaza Strip, hopefully being able to break that blockade, being able to get the aid in. So they're making good progress actually from when they set off. They're just about passing Greece on what will be their port side. Get the my left eye nautical hat on. So I'll keep you posted on the progress. One thing that does reassure me though is they're getting even more attention on this flotilla than they would have gotten at the last one. Lest we forget, a vessel was attacked which should have had Greta Thunberg aboard. Not a coincidence, I don't think. Yeah, I think this is the... I'm optimistic that they will make it there. However, I can't say I'm particularly optimistic that they will make it there without incidents, without, you know, a couple of significant events of some sort. Whether it's countries' navies or something along those lines, I don't know. Andy Carter spy planes. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. All right, people. Going to move on to a different topic now. Something more positive to see, something encouraging. Another fine display of people power, this time from San Diego, California, which is one of the United States of America. And a coming together of a community in order to get rid of a handful of I.C.E. officers. Of course, these are the stormtroopers essentially sent in by Trump, targeting ethnic minorities and so on and so forth. It's absolutely abhorrent to see from... have you heard this one yet? The... pumpkin-spiced Palpatine, Donald Trump. And it worked. So this is people from the community, neighbours and so on and so forth, confronted. They are very brave as well. These are armed officers, as you'll see in this clip. But they managed to chase him off. Let's see what's happening.
Fucking shame! 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 Back up! Yeah, back up! Back up! Shame! 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 Back up! Yeah, back up! That's right! That's right! Back the fuck up! Back up! You guys are fucking Nazis! Get the fuck out of here, you fucking Nazis!
Yes!
Fucking cowards!
This is brilliant. Can you hear that guy in the background? Yeah. Yes. This is how you do it, people. This is how you... This is literally how you have to do it.
Go! Yeah, get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Fucking cowards! Cowards! Fucking cowards! Nazi fucking coward! That's right! That's right!
Oh, I think that's worth one more watch. Let's just give that another review. Why not?
Fucking shame! 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 Back up! Yeah, back up! Back up! Shame! 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 Shame!
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. I just wanted to interject, yeah, as well, to point out the irony of, well, potential irony. I'm not sure who the I.C.E were actually targeting, but we know that Trump has gone after the Latino community somewhat. And if they were there to apprehend someone from the Latino community in a place called San Diego, then, you know, that says what a fucked up situation it is at the moment with Trump in America. That a city with a Spanish name might see this happen. I don't know if it was someone from the Latino community, just want to point out, but they're generally there for minorities of some sort, of course.
Back up! Yeah, back up!
Back it up. Back it up.
That's right! That's right! Back the fuck up! Back up! You guys are fucking Nazis! Get the fuck out of here, you fucking Nazis!
Preach.
Fucking cowards! Go! Yeah, get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Fucking cowards! Cowards! Fucking cowards! Nazi fucking coward! That's right! That's right!
They were prepared. They were ready. They're prepared to put themselves on the line. This was uploaded. What's the TikTok user? JD9748. There's a tag at the end as well for @uselesscops. I'm not sure who the original uploader was, but well done, San Diego. Well done. Just 1 sec. Get the music up. Wonderful. Yeah, we need more of that. We need that energy in the UK, like you're saying there, Andy. And if, you know, these people were standing up for their neighbour, they might know them personally, or they might have just wanted to help out the community against this very authoritarian policy that Trump has got, the pumpkin spiced Palpatine. Liking that one at the moment. But they have to imagine that all kinds of people in all kinds of situations are their neighbour, whether it's in their case elsewhere in the States, but all across the world, everywhere. And that's the way that I see things like Palestine. If that was happening to my neighbour, you know, what would I do? What would I be prepared to do? Or if it was happening a short way away in the next town, city, whatever. Well done, San Diego. Alright people, it's getting on a little late now, so will move on. This is the first live stream of the week, of course, so we've got a brand new ad placement for a fantastic new product that's coming your way, especially if you like a bit of music with your hot, tasty beverage. Take it away.
Do you like a hot, tasty beverage with your music? Then my left eye has got a treat for your ears. The Brews at 10, the album, all your favourite beverage-based hits from the 1960s to now, all in one place.
Volume 9 is now available, featuring The Only Way Is Cup, Yaz, No Diggity, Black Street, I Would Brew Anything for Love, But I Won't Brew That, Meatloaf, Stir It Up, Patti LaBelle, Cuptown Girl, Billy Joel, plus many more. Order now.
So that's volume 9 there. Let's just go back and... Let's just go back and have a look at some of your suggestions. So we had The Only Way Is Cup by Yaz, No Diggity by Blackstreet's I Would Brew Anything for Love, But I Won't Brew That by Meatloaf, Stir It Up by Patti LaBelle, Cuptown Girl by Billy Joel. Another fine collection of songs, I'm sure you'll agree. It's not actually available, I don't know if you saw the disclaimer there. So if you've got a friend who swears that they can sell you a Japanese imports of any of them, but they need the money up front, then you can take it from me that they're taking you for a ride. Another shout out to the members, if you'll just forgive me for removing the chat from the screen for 1 minute. Thank you very much for all of your contributions and the gifted memberships on tonight's stream as well. Thanks to everybody who's renewed recently. Everybody on tonight's stream, please make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button. If you're not already a member, you can help to support the channel for just 99p. There's a list of perks that you can check out. But how's the member satisfaction here, folks? Are we all having a good time? Let's get some user reviews. And there are, quite a few exclusives, including the static emojis. Thank you very much, people. Marvellous members on the channel. Okay, I'll see who might be able to raid into. Excuse me. As we get towards the end of the stream, but don't go anywhere. It's worth hanging around if you can stay up a little bit longer this evening. And we've got No Justice. Okay, right into No Justice. Great stuff. Make sure that you hit thumbs up when we get over there in a moment. And subscribe there if you're not already subscribed to No Justice. I do insist that you do that. Right, so without further ado, people, that's just about all from me, so stay right where you are, and we'll be raiding in just a moment. I'll see you over there. Free Palestine, power to the people.